been working extremely hard. My team over there has been working extremely hard, and I really feel like, it's paying off. So these wins mean a lot. Yeah.
Talk me through the match a little bit, because it seemed like Maya came out all guns blazing, playing some great tennis, and I guess you had to regroup a little bit in that second set. What was the match?
She didn't just beat the defending champion, she destroyed her. She didn't just make history, she rewrote it. And now, one match stands between Alex Eala and a place in the Wimbledon quarterfinals that no Filipino has touched in 73 years. 2 days after dismantling Iga Swiatek on center court in a performance that left the tennis world breathless, the 21-year-old from Quezon City walks back onto the most iconic stage in tennis. Standing across the net is Jasmine Paolini, a two-time Grand Slam finalist, a woman who knows exactly what it takes to thrive on the biggest stages. But Eala has beaten her before. In Dubai, she took down the then world number 8 with a stunning 6-1-7-6-5 victory. And while Paolini has called Eala a star of our sport and admitted her game fits very well on grass, she's also witnessed something the Italian has never seen before. A sea of Philippine flags flooding center court, turning the most traditional tournament in tennis into a home away from home. A nation of 115 million people is watching. The history books are waiting, and one woman is about to find out if she can survive the battle of her life. Will the fairy tale continue or end here? The roar of center court was still echoing in her ears. The tears of joy were still fresh on her cheeks. And yet Alexandra Eala knew the journey was far from over. 2 days after dismantling the defending champion on center court, a 7-6-9, 6-2 demolition that left the tennis world breathless, the 21-year-old from Quezon City was back on the most iconic stage in tennis. The sea of red, white, and blue had already flooded the stands. The chants of Alex were already echoing across the grounds, and the weight of history was heavier than ever. But Eala was ready. She had already written her name into the history books. By defeating Iga Swiatek, she had become the first Filipino in the Open era to reach the 4th round of a Grand Slam. The victory was a masterpiece of composure and courage, an 84-minute first-set war that showcased everything special about her game. She saved 2 set points in the tiebreak, broke Swiatek's serve 5 times, and finished with 24 winners to 21 unforced errors. I went to train every day after school with my ruffled socks, light-up shoes, and chubby cheeks. To younger me, this is everything, she had said in her on-court interview, her voice trembling with emotion. The journey to this moment had been extraordinary. It began in the first round, where Eala delivered a masterclass against Mexico's Renata Zarazua, 6-1, 6-2 in just 71 minutes. It was her first career Wimbledon main draw win, after exiting in the opening round in her debut the previous year. Then came the second round, and redemption. Standing across the net was Maya Joint, the Australian who had broken Eala's heart exactly 1 year earlier in the Eastbourne final. Joint had saved a super tiebreak to steal the title, and Eala had cried for months. She couldn't even watch the highlights, but this time Eala refused to break. She reeled off the final 9 games of the match, winning 3-6, 6-2, 6-0 to become the first Filipino to reach the 3rd round of a Grand Slam in the Open era. And then came Swiatek, the defending champion, the 6-time Grand Slam winner, the woman who had handed Eala her graduation diploma at the Rafa Nadal Academy 3 years earlier. Eala destroyed her. She was brave enough to play faster in the important moments, Swiatek admitted after the match. I was there to fight. It wasn't enough. Now standing between Eala and a place in the Wimbledon quarterfinals was Jasmine Paolini, the 13th seed from Italy, a 2-time Grand Slam finalist who had been here before and knew exactly what it took to thrive on the biggest stages of the sport. But Eala had beaten her before. In Dubai, she had taken down the then world number 8 in straight sets, and she knew exactly what was coming. I think she's a great player, Eala said of Paolini. She is a great fighter. It was not an easy match in Dubai for me, and it will not be an easy match here either. But every match is a different story. The dream was alive. The history books were waiting. And Alex Eala was ready to write the next chapter. Standing across the net on Monday night would be a woman who knew exactly what it felt like to walk these lawns as a Wimbledon finalist. Jasmine Paolini had been here before. The 30-year-old Italian had experienced the highest of highs and the lowest of lows on the biggest stages in tennis. In 2024, she had enjoyed a breakthrough Grand Slam season, reaching the Wimbledon final before falling to Barbora Krejcikova in 3 sets. She had also finished runner-up at the French Open that year. She was a 3-time WTA champion and an Olympic doubles gold medalist, but Paolini had struggled in 2026. A roller coaster season had seen her drop out of the world's top 10. Yet at Wimbledon, she had found her form again, reaching the 4th round with a clinical 6-1, 6-2 demolition of Maria Sakkari that lasted just 66 minutes. Her path through the draw had been straightforward. Paolini was well aware of the threat Eala posed. She had been watching the Filipinas' remarkable run closely. I think the game of Eala fits very well to grass, she had said. She showed a great level also in Berlin. I think she's a very dangerous player here. But the Italian also knew something else. She had faced Eala before. Their only previous meeting came in February 2026 at the Dubai Tennis Championships. Eala had taken down the then world no. 8 in front of a raucous sold-out crowd, winning 6-1, 7-6-5. Paolini had fought back in the second set, but Eala had held her nerve to close it out on her 5th match point. I played already her in Dubai this year, Paolini said. It's going to be a tough one because she's playing great. What worried Paolini most wasn't just Eala's game. It was the phenomenon that followed her everywhere. She has a huge crowd with her, the Italian admitted. On the bridge they were screaming, Alex, Alex, it's just good for our sport to involve more people around the world. Then came the words that revealed just how much respect the Italian had for her young opponent. I think she's like a star of our sport, Paolini said. It's going to be a tough battle. The crowd is going to be there every point. For Eala, the message was clear. She had beaten Paolini before. She knew what was coming, but she also knew that this was a very different challenge. As she herself had said, every match is a different story. The stage was set, the battle lines were drawn, and on Monday night, center court would decide which woman would take the next step toward greatness. The respect between the two competitors was evident long before they stepped onto center court. Jasmine Paolini had been watching Alex Eala's remarkable run with growing admiration. She had seen the Filipina dismantle the defending champion. She had witnessed the sea of Philippine flags flooding the stands, turning the most traditional tournament in tennis into a celebration of national pride. And she had been paying attention to Eala's entire grass court season, the Birmingham title, the Berlin semifinal, the victories over 2 top 10 players. I think the game of Eala fits very well to grass, Paolini admitted in her post-match press conference. She showed a great level also in Berlin. I think she's a very dangerous player here. But she wasn't just talking about the tennis. She was talking about the phenomenon that followed the 21-year-old everywhere she went. She has a huge crowd with her, Paolini said. Now on the bridge they were screaming, Alex, Alex. It's so good for our sport, I think. Also to involve more people around the world. Then came the words that revealed just how much respect the Italian had for her young opponent. I think she's like a star of our sport, Paolini said. It's going to be a tough battle. The crowd is going to be there every point. Paolini, a 2-time Grand Slam finalist who had reached the Wimbledon final just 2 years ago, had seen plenty of rising stars come and go. But there was something different about Eala, something that reminded her of the fire she herself had carried when she was breaking through. She's playing great, Paolini acknowledged. Let's see how we're going to prepare for the match. I already played here in Dubai this year, and I think it's going to be a tough one. She can play really well. For Eala, the respect was mutual. She had studied Paolini's game, watched her rise to the Wimbledon final, and understood exactly what kind of opponent she was facing. I think she's a great player. She is a great fighter, especially, Eala said. It was not an easy match in Dubai for me. It will not be an easy match here either. But Eala also knew that the Dubai victory meant little now. Every match is a different story, she said. So I'm going to do my best to prepare for that one and focus all my energy on trying to improve and do better. The battle lines were drawn. 2 competitors who respected each other, who had studied each other, who knew exactly what was at stake, one woman fighting to write her name into the history books of Philippine tennis. The other determined to remind the world why she had been a Wimbledon finalist just 2 years ago. The moment the final point landed on center court, an entire nation of 115 million people erupted in celebration. Not just in the stands of the All England Club where the sea of red, white, and blue had already exploded with joy, but everywhere, all at once. A country deeply divided by politics had found something that united it. A 21-year-old with a tennis racket and a dream, President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr., had been watching from Vancouver, Canada, where he was on a state visit. He watched the match and immediately addressed reporters, his voice carrying the weight of a nation. Baruin mo meru na tayong player babae pa na nanalo sa 3rd round in Wimbledon, he said. Tennis does not operate at a higher level than Wimbledon, so she's really world class. She's terrific. Then came the words that would resonate across the nation. Congratulations, Alex. Keep it up. We'll all be here. The whole Filipino nation is cheering you on. Keep going, keep going, keep going. We are behind you. He later called her victory a force that united a country greatly divided by politics. There are days when an entire nation celebrates together. Today is one of those days. Senator Panfilo Lacson echoed the sentiment, calling Eala a unifier of a deeply divided nation and a detoxifier that our country's highly toxic atmosphere needs. Senator Francis Escudero captured the moment perfectly. Alex Eala, you just rewrote what's possible for every Filipino who ever picked up a racket. At Wimbledon, you broke a ceiling no Filipino has ever touched, and you did it with heart, grit, and grace. In the stands of center court, the scene was just as electric. Thousands of Filipinos had filled the iconic stadium, waving red, yellow, and blue national flags and injecting uniquely Filipino humor into the most traditional tournament in tennis. One sign read, "Do it for the carry car," a rich Filipino oxtail and peanut stew that Eala had mentioned in a viral TikTok video. Even Wimbledon itself paid tribute, posting a message in Tagalog that read, "Isang araw na hindi mawawala sa kasaysayan. Buo ang suportang Pilipinas sayo Alex Eala, a day that will never be forgotten." The Philippines' full support is with you, Alex Eala. The post drew positive reactions from Filipino fans, who welcomed the tournament's use of their language. Back home, the Philippine Sports Commission and the Metro Manila Development Authority organized a free public watch party at the Phil Sports Arena in Pasig City, which could accommodate up to 8,000 fans. Pinks hosted a live watch party with an exclusive Grand Slam cocktail available in its BGC and Salcedo locations. Eala herself had already acknowledged the support that had carried her this far. "I know how notoriously difficult it is to get tickets to this event," she had said. "So to have what I would call a full house of almost all Filipinos is amazing. It's incredible to have my countrymen cheering me on and knowing that we're all in this together." The Philippines had found its hero, and the world had taken notice. Monday, July 6, 2026. Center court at the All England Club. The stage was set for a battle that would define both players' careers. Jasmine Paolini had been here before. 2 years ago, she had walked these same lawns as a Wimbledon finalist, falling just short of the ultimate prize. She had also reached the French Open final that year, a remarkable feat that had cemented her place among the elite. The Italian knew exactly what it took to thrive on the biggest stage in tennis. But this wasn't her stage anymore, not today. The battle begins as the players walked onto the hallowed grass. The roar from the stands was deafening. The center court crowd had gathered to witness history, and they had made their allegiances clear. A sea of red, white, and blue stretched across the iconic stadium. Thousands of Filipino flags waved in unison. The chants of Alex echoed across the grounds, drowning out everything else. Paolini had expected this. She had seen it coming from the bridge, where fans had been screaming Eala's name. "It's so good for our sport," she had said, "to involve more people around the world." But knowing and experiencing were two very different things. From the very first point, Eala came out firing. Her left-handed slice serve, which had troubled Swiatek so effectively, was once again a weapon. Her ground strokes were precise. Her movement was fluid. She was everywhere, chasing down balls, turning defense into attack, and refusing to give Paolini a single easy point. The opening games were a statement of intent. Eala had learned from her grueling 2-hour and 34-minute battle against Swiatek. She knew she had to start fast, dictate the points, and not let the Italian settle into a rhythm. And she did exactly that. The numbers tell the story. Paolini, a 2-time Grand Slam finalist, fought back with everything she had. She extended rallies. She forced errors. She made Eala work for every single point. The center court crowd, already buzzing, grew louder with every rally, but Eala was relentless. Her record against top 10 opponents stood at an astonishing 7-4, including a perfect 3-0 on grass this season. She had beaten Swiatek twice. She had beaten Rybakina and Svitolina on grass in Berlin. She had won the Birmingham Open and reached the Berlin semi-finals, carrying a 12-3 record on grass into the 4th round. She was no longer just a promising young player. She was a genuine contender. And she proved it again on center court. When the final point landed, the stadium erupted. Tears flowed, hugs were shared, history had been made. Alex Eala had just become the first Filipino, male or female, to reach the quarterfinals of a Grand Slam since Felicissimo Ampon achieved the feat at the 1953 French Open. She was also only the third Southeast Asian woman to reach the Wimbledon quarterfinals. The center court crowd gave her a standing ovation. The sea of red, white, and blue that had carried her through every match was now a blur of celebration. And as Eala walked off the court, she carried with her the weight of a nation, and the knowledge that she had just rewritten history. "What this means, I don't know how to describe this feeling," Eala had said after her Swiatek victory. "I'm into the second week of a slam, and it's amazing for me." But she had also made one thing crystal clear. "This is everything, but this doesn't mean I'm satisfied. So next round, let's go." She had kept her word. And now, the tennis world was left wondering just how far this fearless Filipina could go. The roar of center court had barely faded. The tears of joy were still fresh on her cheeks. But Alexandra Eala knew the journey was far from over. 2 days after dismantling the defending champion on center court, the 21-year-old from Quezon City was back on the most iconic stage in tennis. Standing across the net was Jasmine Paolini, a two-time Grand Slam finalist who had been here before and knew exactly what it took to thrive on the biggest stages of the sport. But Eala had beaten her before. In Dubai, she had taken down the then-world number 8 in front of a raucous, sold-out crowd. Now, on the grass of Wimbledon, she did it again. The final score, 6-1, 7-6-5. When the final point landed, the stadium erupted. Tears flowed, hugs were shared, history had been made. Alex Eala had become the first Filipino, male or female, to reach a Grand Slam quarterfinal since Felicissimo Ampon achieved the feat at the 1953 French Open. "I hope they have bigger dreams than winning a Grand Slam," she had said after her victory over Swiatek. "I don't want them to be the next me. I want them to be the first them." The warrior had spoken, the dreamer had arrived, and the legacy of Alex Eala was only just beginning. Can the dream continue, or will the fairy tale end here?